Everyone's had that sense of dread at least once in their life when getting onto an airplane, right? The many different ways that things could go wrong just staring you in the face. Yet even still, millions of us do it each and every year. It's almost like they haven't seen a certain 2000s horror film where it shows just how wrong air travel can go. So join us as we take a look at what happened to Final Destination.
In death, there are no accidents, no coincidences, no mishaps, and no escapes.
In the 90s, James Wong and Glenn Morgan were mostly known as X-Files writers. They'd had several successful episodes of the series, but were hoping to break out into more of their own work. Young screenwriter Jeffrey Reddick was also hoping to break into the industry, and was told to write a spec script for a popular TV show, and X-Files it was. Reddick had been inspired by the story of a woman being told to switch her flight due to her mother's bad feeling, only for the original flight to crash. This set Reddick's imagination on fire and resulted in a fun spec script. Unfortunately, the script never made it to the offices of the X-Files, but a friend of Reddick's told him to expand the story into a full-length feature. This script would eventually become Final Destination. But it doesn't end there. New Line Cinema bought the script and had Reddick do another draft. The studio liked the story enough to send it out to various directors to see if any connected with the material. The script came across Wong and Morgan's desk, and they were very interested. However, they wanted to do a full rewrite and direct the feature themselves.
This is a message or something, Claire. Or someone hinting at a design.
The characters began as young adults, but with the success of movies like Scream, the studio wanted a full-blown teen cast. Teen for Hollywood, that is. So they looked to popular actors at the time that could pull off the high school look. Originally written as Fat Teenager, Sean William Scott took on the role of Billy Hitchcock. This would see him in a much nerdier facade than he was known for from his massive role as Steven Stifler in American Pie. Ali Larter was fresh off of the success of Varsity Blues and took on a role considerably different from the one that she had there. But she pulls off the quiet weird girl quite well. Glenn Morgan also cast his wife Kristen Cloak as the teacher Mrs. Luton. Finally, the role of Alex Browning was cast with Devon Sawa. With Alex being such an important character to the story, he took the longest for the filmmakers to find. In fact, it wasn't even Sawa's audition that impressed them. Instead, it was his performance in the film Idle Hands. After viewing the movie, Sawa had the job in the bag. Live casts were done for nearly all of the main actors. And you'll notice some familiarity when it comes to some of the characters' names. Billy Hitchcock is named after famed horror director Alfred Hitchcock. Terry Chaney was a reference to Lon Chaney. Agent Schreck was named for Max Schreck, who famously played Nosferatu. Even the lead, Alex Browning, was named for horror director Todd Browning, with his best friend taking on the name Todd. Just take a look at the character list and you'll see plenty of Easter eggs. What exactly is Final Destination about? Well, a high school French class is going to Paris for their class trip, but Alex Browning has a premonition that the plane is going to crash. While he's able to save several people, the crash still happens. And we soon learn that you can't escape death, as it comes after those who got off the flight and kills them in increasingly horrific ways. Filming took place mostly on Vancouver Island in Canada, with the Vancouver International Airport standing in for JFK. Funnily enough, they even had to shoot this scene from this angle, because if you turn the camera, there was a massive Canadian flag that the airport refused to take down. The production went anything but smoothly, with many cast members filming other projects during the same time. Kerr Smith was a regular on Dawson's Creek, and Devon Sawa had a role in the Bill Pullman movie The Guilty. So getting all cast members in one place, especially for scenes where they all had to be together, proved rather difficult. Music is quite important to the film, with John Denver's Rocky Mountain High getting highlighted. For those unaware, John Denver died in a plane crash, adding a certain evil undertone to a seemingly innocent song. And despite being relatively low budget, the film actually has a full orchestral score. Shirley Walker does a wonderful job with it and really soaks the film in dread. And it's not just the music that contributes to this, it's the entire set design. Production designer John Willett did something that he called skewing a set, which would cause an audience to feel a sense of unease just by looking at something. He would do this by putting colors next to each other that were psychologically displeasing, as well as doing forced perspective shots. Just watch as these guys are almost hitting the ceiling. It all adds up to an atmosphere absolutely teeming with dread. At the time, New Line made a point to test screen all of their films. Bob Shaye felt that if they were going to be spending millions upon millions of dollars to promote a movie, they needed to make sure that audiences were buying what they're selling. So Final Destination went through a series of test screenings that would completely change the ending of the film. And as was the case with most test screenings, the film was filled with unfinished effects and a temporary score. The original ending of the film had Alex Browning sacrifice himself in order to save Clear from the car. He's electrocuted and dies a pretty painful death. Clear is saved and several months later is seen having a baby. See, there was a deleted scene earlier in the movie where Alex and Clear hook up, and then Clear finds out that she's pregnant. However, they felt that the audience immediately retract when finding out about Clear's pregnancy, and there was a weird vibe that followed the entire third act. Which is really too bad, as the original ending is really awesome, and we even get a nice scene between Clear and Carter. But Alex's death destroyed the mood of the film and completely lost audiences. So they went back and changed it. Instead, Alex, Clear, and Carter have conquered their fear of flying and made it to Paris to celebrate, well, living. There we see that their plan to escape death didn't quite work out so well, and Carter unfortunately gets the brunt of it. Final Destination released in the United States on March 17, 2000, and brought in over $10 million on its opening weekend. The film would end its box office run at $112 million worldwide. Despite its high marks in the horror world, critics did not like the Death Has a Vendetta film, receiving a 35% rotten score on Rotten Tomatoes. The critical consensus was that, despite a panel of X-Files alums at the helm and a promising premise, flighty performances and poor execution keep Final Destination from ever taking off. Fortunately for all of us though, audiences felt different, and the series absolutely exploded in popularity. We've already covered its 2 sequels on our series, so be sure to check those out if you want to see exactly where the series ended up going. Unfortunately, despite surviving the first film, Devon Sawa is missing from all of these sequels, though we do get a return of Clear Rivers. We'd soon come to realize that this isn't a series that likes to bring back its characters, and with good reason.
I knew it would rip. That's how I saved him. Just like the plane, just like the explosion, I saw it.
Whether it's one of the many deaths, or the terrifying plane crash at the film's forefront, there are plenty of scenes that will stick with you when the credits roll on Final Destination. And the brilliance of the film is that, whatever that may be, it's a moment that will come back to you over and over again. Because this isn't some mad psychopath who wants to kill his sister with a butcher knife. This is death. And death comes for us all.
I will not let this plane crash be the most important thing in my life! I'm moving on, Carter. And if you want to waste your life beating the shit out of Alex every time you see him, then you can just drop fucking dead.
Thank you for clicking on our video, everybody. If you like what you saw here, please make sure you like the video and subscribe and share with your friends who like this sort of content. JoBlo was created by movie fans for movie fans, and we appreciate your support.